Here's a brutal truth. A woman can sleep next to you, laugh with you, even say she loves you, and still treat you like an option. And if you don't catch it, you'll waste years giving your best while she barely notices. But when you finally pull back, something shifts. Suddenly, she's the one checking her phone, replaying your words, and wondering if she just lost a man she can't replace. And trust me, it doesn't take long. A week of silence can do more damage than months of chasing. In this video, I'm about to break down 7 psychological triggers that make women start missing the very man they once overlooked. And if you've ever been taken for granted, this is your wake-up call. You see, here's the part most men never want to admit. A woman can genuinely love you, share her life with you, and still treat you like a background character. That's the sting, isn't it? You give your best, and yet somehow it's never enough to stop her from taking you for granted. But let me be clear, this isn't about hating on women or painting them as villains. It's about decoding the truth of female psychology from the inside. I'm speaking to you as a woman who's lived it, seen it, and knows exactly how these dynamics unfold. Every man who's been taken for granted knows that sting. But here's the difference. You don't have to stay stuck in it. I'm going to show you how women really think when they realize they've lost a man they can't replace. So right now, hit like, subscribe if you're ready to reclaim your frame, and drop a comment below with your story. Because trust me, you're not the only man who's lived this. Now, let's get into the first trigger of when a woman starts missing the man she once overlooked. Number 1. When you stop reaching out. Let me tell you something most men underestimate. Silence isn't neutral. It's a thunderstorm in her head. A woman who's used to your daily messages, your constant check-ins, your steady presence, when that suddenly disappears, it doesn't just feel like space. It feels like a mirror, and she hates what she sees in that mirror. See, most women get comfortable with a man's consistency. She expects that good morning text, even if she rolls her eyes at it. She expects you'll check if she got home safe, even if she acts like it's no big deal. She expects that when she pulls back, you'll lean in harder. That's the unspoken game. And as long as you keep playing, she feels secure, even powerful. But the second you stop, the rules change. Take David, for example. He's 45, an engineer. For 2 years, he texted his girlfriend every morning without fail. Rain or shine, business trip or family drama, she could count on that notification lighting up her phone. Until one week, David stopped. No texts, no calls, nothing. At first, she shrugged. He must be busy. By day 3, she was refreshing his Instagram stories like a teenager. By day 5, she was pacing, checking her phone in the middle of the night. And by day 7, she was asking mutual friends if he was okay. What changed? Nothing dramatic. David simply stopped orbiting around her, and the silence hit louder than any argument could. Here's the psychology. Women are used to being pursued. We're conditioned to expect a man to prove himself, to keep showing up no matter how inconsistent we are. And when a man keeps doing that, we don't always feel grateful. We feel entitled. We think he'll always be there. But when the pursuit stops, confusion sets in, then anxiety, then the creeping fear that maybe she overplayed her hand. That's why your silence matters more than any clever comeback or dramatic speech. Words can be argued with, twisted, dismissed. Silence? She can't fight it. She can only feel it. And those feelings spiral fast. Is he mad? Did I push him too far? Did he meet someone new? Was I wrong about how much he cared? And here's where most men mess it up. They break the silence too soon. They rush back in the moment she twitches, just to prove they're still available. And just like that, the spell is broken. She relaxes, reassured you're still orbiting her, and the cycle resets. You need to understand, silence is not passive, it's active pressure. It forces her to confront the reality that you're not glued to her anymore. It forces her to see the difference between fantasy and truth. And the truth is brutal, because without your presence, her sense of control starts to collapse. So if you've ever wondered when a woman starts missing the man she took for granted, it's not during the fights. It's not when she's cold and distant. It's in the stillness. When your name stops lighting up her phone, that's when the real panic begins. Your silence isn't emptiness. It's a presence with weight. And believe me, she feels it more than any word you could ever say. Number 2. She remembers the little things you used to do. Here's a truth most men don't realize until it's too late. Women don't miss the grand gestures. They miss the small details, the little consistencies you thought she barely noticed. The roses you brought on Valentine's Day, nice, but forgettable. The way you picked up her favorite chocolate bar after she had a brutal day at work, that's what sticks. Why? Because the little things reveal something bigger. They show presence, attention, a man who listens. And in a world full of noise and distractions, that's rare. When those small acts disappear, the silence around them echoes. Think about it. Every woman has been dazzled by dinners, trips, or big surprises. But what makes her heart twist in your absence are the things that slipped under her radar until they were gone. The good morning text that felt routine. The way you remembered she hated tomatoes on her sandwich. The way you noticed she was exhausted, even when she said she was fine. She may have acted like those things didn't matter, but trust me, they did. Here's the irony. When you were consistent, she probably brushed it off, maybe even acted annoyed. That's because she got used to it. Familiarity makes people blind, but once you stop, the contrast is brutal. Suddenly, she's comparing you with every man around her and realizing nobody else notices those little details. Nobody else sees her the way you did. And this is where the regret sets in. She doesn't just miss you, she misses how she felt when you were around. Safe, heard, chosen. And when she's with someone new, who doesn't remember what she ordered at the coffee shop last week, that's when she starts to think, damn, I didn't realize what I had. Here's the psychological trap for men. You think being nice or doing small things is weak, that it makes you replaceable. Wrong. What makes you replaceable is giving without standards, without self-respect, but doing the right little things, without being a doormat. That's exactly what makes you unforgettable. I'll give you the punchline now, so it sinks in. Women don't miss the roses. They miss the chocolate bar you bought after her worst day. So don't underestimate the power of the small. Those little moments carry weight long after you're gone. They become a shadow she can't shake, because no one else quite replicates them. And when she realizes that, the missing starts cutting deeper. Remember, it's not about trying harder. It's about doing less, but with more intention. When you pull back your energy, those little things she took for granted stop being background noise. They become ghosts that follow her. She thought those things didn't matter. She only learns they did when you're no longer the one doing them. Number 3. She pretends she's fine, but inside she's spiraling. Here's where a lot of men get fooled. You go silent, you stop chasing, and suddenly she looks like she's living her best life. The Instagram stories full of laughter, the selfies at wine bars, the new guy she's suddenly casually seeing. From the outside, it looks like she's moved on. But the truth? That's often a mask, a cover-up, a defense mechanism, because women don't like to look weak, especially when it comes to a man they once dismissed. She doesn't want you, or anyone else, to see that she's hurting, that she's second-guessing herself, so she projects strength, but projection is not reality. I've seen this play out more times than I can count. Let me give you an example. Mark, a 52-year-old entrepreneur. After his divorce, he went completely silent. No chasing, no desperate texts, no begging for closure. His ex-wife? She immediately started posting girls' night pictures, trips with friends, even hinted at dating someone new. To outsiders, she looked untouchable, but behind the curtain, she was asking mutual friends about Mark. Is he seeing anyone? He seems different. She was spiraling, but she would never admit it publicly. And this is the key. What looks like strength on social media is often insecurity in disguise. The louder the performance, the deeper the panic inside. So here's the danger for men. If you buy into the show, you might think she doesn't care. You might cave, break your silence, and run straight back into the same dynamic that made you feel replaceable in the first place. Don't. Her curated highlight reel isn't the truth. It's her ego trying to save face. The reality is much darker. When night falls, when the lights are off, when her phone lights up and your name isn't there anymore, that's when it hits. That's when the silence creeps in. And no girl's night selfie can drown that out. Don't be fooled by the smiles on her feed. At 2 a.m., it's not the champagne glass she's staring at. It's the empty screen where your name used to appear. Here's the insight you need to hold on to. Women compartmentalize. They try to bury regret under distractions, but you cannot bury what leaves an emotional imprint. The truth always comes back when the noise dies down. So when she pretends she's fine, understand, it's not proof of strength. It's proof she's wrestling with emotions she doesn't want to face. And the more she pretends, the harder the eventual crash. Your job as a man, don't chase the mask. Don't fight for a role in her performance. Hold your ground, because eventually the show stops. And when it does, the silence you created will speak louder than anything she posted. Number 4, the battle between ego and emotion. Now, this is where things get messy. When a woman starts to realize she might have taken a good man for granted, she doesn't just miss you quietly. Inside her, there's a war. Ego versus emotion. And trust me, ego fights dirty. Ego tells her, don't admit you messed up. Don't reach out first. He should have fought harder. Ego whispers, if you message him, you lose power. Ego wants her to stay proud, even if that pride is the exact reason she feels empty. But emotion doesn't play by those rules. Emotion is raw. It creeps in late at night when her guard is down. Emotion is that sting in her chest when she sees your picture pop up in someone else's feed. Emotion is that pit in her stomach when she realizes the attention she dismissed is gone, and it might never come back. This tug of war can last weeks, even months. 1 minute she's convincing herself you were weak. The next, she's replaying memories of how safe, steady, and irreplaceable you actually were. One side says, he'll come back if he really cares. The other side whispers, what if he doesn't? What if he's already gone? Here's where most men mess it up. They take the bait. They see a crack in her ego, a little breadcrumb. Maybe she watches your stories. Maybe she sends a casual, hope you're good text. And what do? They rush back in. They feed her ego exactly what it wanted all along, proof that she still has control. But let me tell you straight, if you re-enter at this stage, you're not stepping into reconciliation. You're stepping back into the same cycle where she tests, you prove, and she takes you for granted again. Nothing has changed, except now she knows exactly how little it takes to pull you back. That's why your silence, your detachment, your frame matters more than ever right here. Because ego only breaks when emotion wins. And emotion only wins when you don't fold. Her ego wants you back to feel powerful. Her emotions want you back because they finally realize you mattered. And only if you hold your ground will emotion ever win that war. So hear me, don't get tricked by half measures. Don't mistake ego-driven breadcrumbs for real regret. Wait, observe, hold your frame. Because the man who doesn't break first is the man who flips the dynamic. And once her ego loses to her emotions, that's when regret finally shows up in full force. Number 5. When you glow up, it hits her harder than anything else. If silence is powerful, transformation is lethal. Nothing rattles a woman who once took you for granted more than seeing you thrive without her. Not just moving on, but leveling up. Looking stronger, lighter, happier, and not pretending. Actually becoming a man who radiates peace and purpose. Let me give you a story. John, 60 years old, divorced after 25 years of marriage. His ex-wife thought she had him figured out, predictable, patient, always available, safe, and in her mind, safe meant replaceable. But after the divorce, John did something different. He didn't sit at home drowning in whiskey or bitterness. He joined a gym. He started traveling. He picked up photography. He smiled in pictures again, the real kind, not the forced one. One night, his ex stumbled across his social media, and what she saw shook her, not because he looked younger or richer, but because he looked free. She wasn't the center of his world anymore. He had built a new one, and that realization cut deeper than any argument ever could. Here's the truth most women won't say out loud. They always notice the glow up. They notice when the man they once dismissed isn't bitter, isn't begging, isn't performing for attention. He's simply living better. And that's when the regret gets sharp. Because now, instead of evaluating you, she feels like she's the one being evaluated and failing. But here's the part you need to understand. Your glow up isn't about her. It's not about revenge. Revenge keeps you tethered to the past. Transformation cuts the rope. It's about reclaiming your life, investing your energy back into yourself, and becoming a man who no longer needs validation from anyone, especially from someone who failed to value you in the first place. Women can roll their eyes at silence. They can ignore a few weeks of distance. But they cannot ignore a man who rises higher without them. That's the psychological earthquake. Because deep down, they realize what they lost wasn't just a relationship. It was access to a version of you they'll never get again. Nothing makes a woman regret more than seeing you shine in places she no longer gets to sit beside you. So don't glow up for her. Glow up because the best revenge is no revenge. Just a life so full, so rich, so unshakable that her memory of you becomes her punishment. Number 6. Silence is the ultimate weapon. Men often underestimate the power of silence. You think you need the perfect speech, the clever comeback, the last word to prove your worth. But let me tell you the truth. Silence cuts deeper than any argument. Silence forces her to sit with the weight of your absence. And that weight is unbearable. Here's what happens behind the scenes. When a woman takes you for granted, she assumes you'll always be there, texting, checking in, reacting, proving. Your voice becomes background noise, predictable, safe. But when that noise vanishes, when your phone goes quiet, your energy disappears, your presence fades into the background, that silence becomes a mirror. And it reflects everything she doesn't want to see. Her own mistakes, her own arrogance, her own entitlement. This is why I call silence psychological warfare in the cleanest form. You're not lashing out. You're not playing games. You're simply gone. And the void you leave behind speaks louder than any words could. But here's the warning. Don't confuse real silence with fake silence. Fake silence is when you stop texting but still check her stories. When you don't call but you stalk her page. When you claim you've moved on, but you answer the second she calls. That's not silence, that's a pause button. And trust me, she can sense the difference. Real silence is disciplined. It's not about punishing her, it's about shifting your energy back to you. It's when you no longer react, because you no longer orbit around her gravity. And that change is what rattles her the most. I've seen men break their silence too soon because the discomfort was too heavy. But understand this, silence isn't supposed to be comfortable. It's supposed to create pressure, and under that pressure, she begins to crack. She starts asking herself questions she never asked before. Did I push too far? Did I just lose him for good? Is he over me? And here's the kicker. Women hate uncertainty. And silence is pure uncertainty. It gnaws at them day and night. Even if she walked away first, your silence feels like rejection. Because now she's no longer in control of the story. Silence isn't absence. It's presence with weight. So hold the line. Don't break the silence to ease your own anxiety. Because what feels like emptiness to you is the exact storm she's forced to sit in. And that storm, that's where regret grows. Number 7. If you allow yourself to be treated as replaceable, you will be. Let me be blunt with you. A woman only treats you the way you allow her to. Read that again. If you keep showing up for a woman who constantly dismisses you, ignores your effort, or crosses lines, you're not proving your loyalty. You're teaching her that you're cheap, that your presence costs nothing, and people don't value what costs them nothing. This is the brutal truth most men don't want to hear. Women don't respect what they can control. If she knows she can curse you out, neglect you, leave you hanging, and you'll still come running back eager to please, then you've just trained her to see you as disposable. Not because she's evil, not because she hates you, but because human psychology works that way. The more predictable and easy you are, the less value you hold. Think about it. We respect people who enforce their boundaries. We value people we can't walk over. And yet, so many men do the opposite in relationships. They confuse being loving with being a doormat. They think patience equals devotion, but what it actually signals is weakness. And weakness never inspires respect. The solution? Withdraw your energy where it's not reciprocated. Stop begging for love. Stop proving your worth to someone who's not giving you equal effort. When she treats you like an option, you step back and remind yourself, I am not an option, I am the prize. Not through yelling, not through ultimatums, but through action. By refusing to show up where you're not valued. A man of value doesn't need to demand respect with words. He earns it by refusing to tolerate disrespect. Let me give you a scenario. Picture a man who drops everything to be at her call, even when she cancels plans last minute or gives him half-hearted attention. She learns quickly, I can treat him however I want, he'll still be there. Now compare that to the man who, the moment she disrespects his time or crosses a line, calmly steps away. He doesn't argue, doesn't beg, doesn't chase. He simply withdraws. Which one do you think she respects more? And here's the irony. Women are drawn to men they respect more than men they control. The moment you stop being her doormat, you stop being replaceable. So if you've been stuck in that cycle of giving more than you're receiving, this is your wake-up call. Stop teaching her that you'll tolerate less than you deserve, because once a woman believes you're replaceable, she'll treat you like it. But once she realizes you know your value and you won't compromise it, everything shifts. Now let's talk about what this really means for you. Understanding female psychology is only half the game. The real win is how you respond, how you take back control of your energy and rewrite the dynamic on your terms. First, stop chasing. Stop looking for closure. Closure is a trap that keeps you stuck in her frame, waiting for her to validate your pain. You don't need her to tie up the loose ends of your story. You write the ending yourself the moment you decide you're done. Second, focus on yourself. And I don't just mean a half-hearted attempt at self-care. I'm talking about rebuilding the areas of your life that give you strength and confidence. Hit the gym, not because you're trying to impress her, but because strength and discipline remind you of who you are. Level up your finances, your career, your network. Expand your world so wide that she can't be the center of it anymore. Third, set emotional boundaries. If she tries to come back, don't just fall into her arms because you miss the comfort. Test her actions. Has she really changed, or is she just circling back because life got lonely? This is where most men fail. They think her return means victory, when in reality it's just another round of the same cycle. The man who wins is the man who knows how to hold the line. He doesn't break silence out of weakness, and he doesn't accept a woman back just because it's convenient. Don't become the man she comes back to out of convenience. Become the man she has to rise up for. So let's bring this full circle. We've walked through the 7 ways a woman begins to miss the man she once took for granted. It starts when you stop reaching out. Then she remembers the little things you did that no one else ever noticed. She pretends she's fine, but inside, she's falling apart. Her ego and emotions go to war, and the emotions always win eventually. She sees you glowing up without her, and that hits harder than anything you could ever say. Your silence becomes her mirror, and it forces her to face herself in ways she never wanted to. And finally, the unshakable truth. If you let her treat you like you're replaceable, she will. All of this points to one lesson. Your value as a man cannot and should not depend on whether or not a woman regrets losing you, because waiting for her regret is still giving her the power. The real shift happens when you stop measuring your worth through her eyes and start anchoring it in your own. Here's the hard truth. A woman may one day miss you, but that doesn't mean you should be waiting for it. Her regret is not your redemption. Your redemption comes the moment you reclaim yourself, the moment you set boundaries, focus on your growth, and live in a way that commands respect without ever having to ask for it. A man who is truly remembered is not remembered because he stayed. He's remembered because when he left, his presence still echoed. So if you've ever been taken for granted, understand this. Your silence, your strength, your ability to walk away in peace, that's your power. And that power is exactly what makes her realize what she lost. But don't live for that realization. Live for you. Because the man who lives for his own standard never has to beg for anyone else's validation. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation where you gave your all, only to be overlooked? Did she ever circle back once she realized what she lost? Or did you walk away for good? Drop your story in the comments, because your experience can help another man wake up and reclaim his own strength. And if you found value in this, make sure to hit subscribe, because this is just the beginning of reclaiming your frame.